Welcome to another episode on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to get an expert to explain me why AWS is building AWS Blocks. And I'm sure that you, if you're watching this show, most likely have already seen something around blocks. Johannes is totally unprepared, and I have Salih with me to explain me what the hell is AWS Blocks. And with that, without further ado, Salih, let's get started. What is AWS Blocks? Why are we talking about this today?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just waiting for the expert to join the call. but apparently I'm very good at my imposter or faking it until I make it. That you call me that, I'm happy. But anyway, so what is AWS Blocks? AWS Blocks has been, in my opinion, the missing piece from AWS for a while. Because, I come from a completely different background. Like, you guys are the AWS wizards. Everybody's doing insane amount of work. I come from mobile and web app development. So for me, AWS has been the scary child. And even to play around with it, like, there are some ways to mock locally, but they were working, in my opinion, half. And you still needed some AWS setup, like AWS CLI or whatever tool that you have. What AWS did is created a higher level of abstraction. You can, like, from the CDK perspective, you can even consider them as like maybe even L4 constructs per se, that will allow the non-AWS people like myself to build on AWS, test everything locally without needing an AWS account, and actually deploy it when they need it. The most important part is they don't need to understand what is S3. They don't need to understand what is DynamoDB tables. They don't need to understand what are the rules on Aurora serverless, whatever. However, if they want to understand it, this is a part that many were failing to do. So this is the part that we need to keep in mind. If you want to have an extended capability, you can bring the complicated scenarios through a CDK as well. So
okay, so I think I want to unpack that before we move ahead. Right?
Of course.
So the way that I look at what AWS Blocks then is supposed to be, it's like a re-implementation of something like Localstack, or do I misunderstand that?
And not like Localstack, because Localstack is a full emulation environment, right? But what this does is gives you a chance to have a mocking environment. With Localstack, you have basically every capability directly working, but with this one, you mock, you pretend to work, but the technicality is there. Once you deploy, you will see what you get. So again, it turns into WYSIWYG, but with local support.
Okay, so that means AWS Blocks gives me the possibility to do rapid prototyping locally by mocking the relevant AWS services that I need.
Yeah.
And I do not need to know the service names or the services themselves. I need to understand the capabilities that I want to include in my app. At least that's the way they understood you. Okay.
Exactly. And by design, Blocks is also very agent-friendly, because nowadays a lot of people, when they want to prototype, when they want to build something fast, or when they want to build their products as well, they use AI tools. This is the reality. They are not very cheap, I know, but the adaptation rate is going high and high. There was one research from Anthropic. The number was they were saying 180%. There was a raise by 180% in the code that has been written with AI. Sadly, only 30% of this code goes to production, but you can see that the rest is actually used by prototyping. You can see that maybe on your pet projects or anything that you can think of. So that is why being agent-friendly is a winning concept for you too, because you need to understand that people will come here and they will ask the simple question of, how am I going to add a simple authentication? Or how am I going to add a database without confusing the crap out of myself?
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Now, another follow-up question on that. AWS, the way that you announced AWS Blocks, you announced it as an open source framework for composing application backends.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that was what Amplify V2 was also supposed to be somehow, right? So is that still a thing or not anymore?
No, like first of all, this is a separate concept, separate,
Okay.
like same org, but separate product. When we think about Amplify and Amplify Gen 2, Amplify Gen 1 had great capabilities, like mocking capabilities and a lot of features. But main problem was people were hitting the hard ceiling when it comes to have something more complex.
Yeah.
I think one of our first conversations was about when you were creating a CDK construct and adding it with your Gen 1 application, and whenever there's a code gen happening, your changes were overwritten.
Yep.
So to break this cycle and make it easier for people to build applications with AWS, Gen 2 was built. So infrastructure as code mentality came in. You write the TypeScript code in a more markup language way than actual like TypeScript application. So you understand what you were building. You had the type safety. You have the mirroring. Everything was working fine. However, the implementation, when you want to get something more complex, even though it was possible now, it was still not as easy as we hoped it to be. And many people were moving to CDK because this was the thing that they understood. With blocks, the position is like this. When you want to have a CRUD-like application with what you want to have and everything is there, you already have a working environment, great. Use Amplify Gen 2. Everything will work out fine. At the end of the day, what it creates is a CloudFormation template. For blocks, on the other hand, in case you want to build applications with CRUD or more than that, or you want to get more complex, you go with blocks. The reason is that you don't only you can not only use the ones that we generate or create. You can also create. Oh my God, this was a hard thing to say. Let me rephrase it. You are not only using the building blocks that we provide, but also you can create your own, distribute to the others, and share with your team, with the world as well. What does it mean? Behind the scenes, every building block is using 4 different items. And these 4 different items are bringing one building block. In this building block, in case you want to bring a CDK component or CDK app, whatever it is, you can bring that out. But I also recently wrote an article on how you can bring a Google Maps capability as well into the AWS ecosystem. So you can see if you follow the same approach, you can mix and match different needs and different services from all around, and you are not kind of locked in. You are actually bound by your creativity at that point, which is kind of a cool thing because at the end, you will have way more capabilities than you had before.
Okay, that makes sense. And I think I kind of get the appealing idea behind it, especially as I've been looking into platform engineering a lot. I see how AWS Blocks could help here, but I want to see things in more detail. So before we move over to the demo, allow me one final starting point question.
Of course.
This is today in preview?
This is on the upper preview. Yes, sir.
That means because of that, it's also under an org that I like a GitHub org that I haven't seen yet, which is DevTools Labs.
Yes,
who
it's an
maintains
open
that orgs and what is being done in that org?
DevTools Labs org has been built with AWS Blocks, and right now the work and everything, every detail is happening over there. I don't know much about the future of it, if I'm being honest with you, the DevTools Labs. But the idea is to provide the DevTools people a place that they can ideate and build software, infrastructure, whatever, or like even sample apps probably, and share with the world without turn it into a full product. Or if it turns into a product, then you can graduate it later as well.
And that's where my next question comes in at the end. Like, people in the community have seen AWS Labs as a playground for DevRels and SAs to do whatever they want and then never productionize that. is AWS Blocks already ready for consumption for production, or is this more a thing that is being tested out, that is being kind of analyzed, and it might go away in half a year? Well, we never know, but what's your sentiment on that?
So like, I want to reiterate what you said last to, let's say, save myself from trouble. I can't predict the future. Like, this is one thing. You never know, right? Some things die, come back. Some things don't die, but pretend to die and everything. However, there's a big difference between AWS Labs and DevTools Labs. DevTools Labs is not for SAs or DAs to ideate and everything. It is for the engineering teams to build on top of. At least right now, for example, I don't have my sample apps over there, right? Everything is in their own control. The AWS Labs was a completely different story, and I'm sure people will hear and listen to this and make a judgment about what people think about AWS Labs as well. So I can't say like good or bad, but they're completely different initiatives.
And I think that's important to call out, right? So, and that's why I asked that question as well, Salih.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not 100%. Maybe it's like, maybe we can also, when I talk to the team, I can see how we can properly position that as well. Because this is a service, to answer your original question. This is a service. This is ready to be used. Because at the end of the day, this is not magic. This is still using AWS services. When you build agents with this, you are using strands behind the scenes, for example. When you use authentication, you can use Cognito or simple JWT tokens. When you use NoSQL database, you're using DynamoDB. You are not using magical things behind the scenes. When it's real time, you're using AppSync events, your favorite. And, like you never know how ready it is, because like you're thinking it's another service. No, it's not a service. It's just a developer tool that would encapsulate the complexity of a service that might be obvious to you or maybe to your audience. But many people out there, if you go to a non-AWS conference and if you talk about AWS, you will see people's face are either scared or laughing. There's a lot of love as well, for sure. But if you come from my world, people are having a hard time to focus on the beauty of AWS while setting up their world. And once they break that cycle, I know they will be exposed to a great deal of services and capabilities. But it is hard for them to get to that point.
Yeah, I can get that. And now I'm gonna stop asking the hard questions. Things like why are there over 60 open pull requests and over 30 issues after 6 weeks? Let's go into the demo first, and let's try to
have
understand
you seen
what
how
it
many
does.
of them closed? I just want to say, like
Not
have you seen
yet.
how many of them are closed? How many external contributions have happened? This is also very positive. Like, there are many people that you might know from CDK ecosystem or Amplify ecosystem that has been contributing into it. I'm telling you.
That is good. So looking at these numbers, we have 62 open right now and 124 closed, which is pretty cool at the end, right?
Yeah.
I didn't check on who is being contributing to it. I will do that.
Like, for example,
offline.
you can see the number 190. It is from Kenta, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's from Kenta. Kento, yeah, I know.
Yeah, like for example.
And he's a CDK contributor.
Yeah, Kento, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you would see a lot of, like for some Magna, for example, he is also Amplify and CDK contributor as well. He also has a pull request merged in as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Then let's see that this is a really open source project and how it goes. We're gonna see how this develops. But now, I didn't use it yet, so let's look at how it works. Let's look at how AWS Blocks enables you to be developing faster locally, at least, and do a short demo.
All right. So let me show you what I have built first. So I will first share my Chrome page. Yes, there we go. So you can see it probably right now. So what I built is this year in the EMEA team, for us, the tabletop games were a big deal. We have done a lot of talks and demos about how you can build a dungeon master kind of thing. So what I have here is same mindset, but I want to build a real-time capability that you can have multiple play in a game, or in case you don't have enough players, I want to make sure that you can fill the seats with AI agents as well. So right now what I have is an AI dungeon master playing the game for you. We have AI capabilities on top of it, you can have real-time messaging and everything in place as well. So it's a very basic app. You can log in with a username and a password. So I will call this, for example, Johannes's bestie Salih, right? And I will just add a password here. And once I have it, you can see like I have some characters that I can play with. I will just select a paladin, for example. And once I get in here, you can see that like all the previous games and everything, you can select the scenario. All of these are scenarios from like these tabletop games. You can select the dungeon master as well. And you can select either fill it with AI companions or wait for other players to join. We will have other people join in as well. And then I will turn this into open to public and launch a new adventure. Okay. So right now this is open seed and everything, right? And this will look better this way. So let me open another browser and I will join the game with my own stuff. So I will just go to this game quickly. So behind the scenes so far, everything that you've seen, we have the authentication, we have the database, and most importantly, we have the agents here. So the empty seats and the dungeon master will be filled with AI agents. Okay. And the rest is going to be real-time capabilities, and so on. So I'm just logging in. And I'm just joining the game. Once I join the game, you can see that I'm here. I will send a message saying I am here. So you can see that I'm here as well. So now I'm saying fill with AI. Once I fill with AI, we have the creation of the agents, and we have the dungeon master thinking as well. So you can see how it thinks. And we have some actions here. All the actions that you see is also AI generated. So if I click on this one, it will just do an action and roll the dice. Once the dice rolls, it goes to the next in turn. So from the other side, I select my thing. Mm-hmm. And you will be able to, for example, see what I have selected, what dice roll is happening, and like also you can see agents are aware of the story and their thinking is aware of the context as well. Okay. So this is a demo. Let me show you how we built this thing. So I will stop sharing and move my VS Code here. Window, choose a window. Yes, share this window. All right, so this is also open source. So you can, first of all, run this application, or you can take it through to see as a workshop as well. I created this as a workshop, and we did this actually in VR Developers recently, and it's very, it was really cool. Anyway, so behind the scenes, what we have here is we have the design of the application, and we have the capabilities of authentication, agents, distributed table, and so on. So let's see how we can implement this. So for blocks, the most important part is when you do npm create blocks app command, it will automatically create a AWS Blocks folder for you. In this blocks folder, you have the index.ts, and this is the part that you will be doing most of your building. You have the index handler in case you want to create some Lambda handler, or in case your AI agent are using Lambda handler as well. And we also have the index CDK TS. This is a file that generally you don't touch, but it allows you to do your deployment either in the sandbox mode, which is not pushing it to your development environment. You can think it as if it's a staging mode, or you can push it to production as well.
Okay.
These are your scripts that you can call. They are just simple TypeScript files. Like if you do sandbox, it will do the sandbox, or destroy the sandbox. Deploy means it will deploy, and destroy is going to destroy what you have on the deployment side. All right. When you run your application, now let's stay here. Let me explain how you can build some stuff. Then we will see how the local data looks like. So first of all, how you define data schema is actually close to what you might remember from Amplify Gen 2. But if you come from TypeScript world, it's even better because we are using Zod, which is a type safety library that you can use. So you can say that like this ID is a string, this name is a string, and so on and so forth. Like whatever you want to have as a primitive type or not, you can have this working directly. And same for any object that you have, if they are nullable or not. You can have enum types, optional types, everything. And with the schemas in place, next thing that you define is how you can create your data. We have distributed table. Distributed table means NoSQL database. You just have your schema files over here. However, in AWS Blocks, you have also opportunities to create your databases with Postgres. So you can have, for example, database. And this block will allow you to create, let me click on this one so you can see the detail. It creates a SQL database for you with like PGLite, and everything will work out fine. And since it's a Postgres database that has been used for a while, it's going to be quite useful. But in case you want to stick to the NoSQL, you can use a distributed table. You can also define schema, keys, and how you want to sort it and everything. Like you can have the sort key, you can have the IDs and everything for your distributed table as well. For real-time, the same mechanism. Like you say new real-time, and you define what you want to push down as real-time mechanism. For example, in here we can define the game state and push down this in the real-time so people can subscribe, or thinking, which comes from the models directly as well. The agent, same logic. You don't need to think about anything else. You can just say, I just want to build an agent. This is the idea of it. You can name it whatever you want. This is the cool part with the agent. Once you want to run the agents, you can either use the deployed model, whatever you want. I use like Sonnet 4.6, but you can use anything from Bedrock provider or any provider that you want. But also locally, you can run it as well. So in here, I could, and I will use Ollama to have the model. And Ollama model small is one of the definitions that they give us, which is just a Llama 3.1 model that you can download with Ollama directly. And the rest is just information about like campaign personas. So whatever campaign has been created, you give them some identity and everything. With everything in place, I will just go to the next. There is the API namespace. So you create everything, but to communicate with your front end, you can create an API namespace. The API allows you to create a gateway for your application to interact directly. For example, there's the save character here that gets the information and puts it to the database. And in case you need the authentication for this operation, you can just say that, hey, you need auth. If it doesn't exist, then it just fails. So you are safe from authorization mistakes in the simplest terms. Of course, it depends on what you're building as well. Like if it's JWT tokens, it checks the authorization accordingly and it changes with whatever else, what else you're doing as well. For CRUD operations, you will be using the same things that you have, like create, read, update, delete, put, all of these that you might have from REST APIs directly. So the logic relies more on the REST API than the, let's say, GraphQL approach. Yeah. So you might have a question, so I stop.
Yeah, like I know that this is a demo.
Yeah.
It looks like a lot of code in one file and a lot of things being defined at the same time, right? So what I understand is that I'm defining the code here, and AWS Blocks gives me the possibility to now have stuff that is going to be mocked locally and stuff that is going to be running like on a deployed environment. Correct?
So that is correct. So let me clarify it first. Since this is the end product of a workshop, that is why everything is in one file. But
Got
all
it.
of these can be split into multiple files. For us, the important point is the index.ts here. The index.ts defines the entry point of this application, and the scope is the next important one. The scope is the scope of my backend. So wherever these information are, it's just there. This is for a simple demonstration only. And if I go to the bottom very quickly, I will never have 1.4K lines in a single file like this.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
this is not the way to go.
This is coming from the
Disclaimer.
workshop at the end, and like and the main okay.
Yeah. This is the part about like if you want to write TypeScript code, then this is where you will write TypeScript code. You will create a new folder, for example. Let's say you will have, I'm just making up things now, like you will have an API, then you will create like API namespace .ts, like then pull that information in and export that information from that file into this, so everything will be in wherever they are supposed to be.
Got it. Okay, cool.
So yeah, every information that you want to create is just files and everything that you have. And once you create all of these things, how you run the application is you will just run it as if it's a normal node application. You will do npm run dev. And once you do npm run dev, then you will see the creation of this local data and information for you, like this one and this one. Why is it important? Because it actually creates the references, the local mock approach. For example, for NoSQL database, every information is kept in JSON files, because at the end of the day, like NoSQL database is simple read files. But if you were using local databases with SQL, you would be using like SQLite and having everything here as well. For agent, like I said, you can use Llama or Llama. For authentication, same logic as well.
Okay, and the BB data is now a folder that is created by Blocks, if I see that correctly?
Exactly. When you do npm run dev, this is the file that is going to be created. This is not meant to be merged or something. This is just for local testing. It keeps your local data and everything, yeah.
Okay, so that means that with Blocks, I'm now building my application locally. And the application is then also able to run locally. So everything that we just saw in the game demo before that was running locally.
Exactly. And you don't need an AWS account to run it as well. We ran this workshop
that means
with
on my
0
next
AWS
flight,
accounts.
Okay, that means on my next flight I can offline and build.
Yeah, you know what? Let me show you something. Just give me a second. So I wrote a blog post, and I wrote that blog post on my flight. And let me share my screen again. So this one, like I bought, so this, I mean, it's going to be a self-advertisement, but this is a blog post that I really like that I built because it explains how blocks work in a way that you don't need to think like you're an AWS person. You can think like an external vendor as well, that like, in case you want to build, let's say, a Supabase block, you can do it as well. Anyway, I built everything that you've seen in this blog post on my flight. And I tested everything on my flight as well, and it is working. And this is also on GitHub, so you can check it out. I didn't need any information. I didn't have my agent running as well. Like I had Olama running with Gemma for going through the files that I created for my own knowledge, but that's it. The rest of the things, everything run on my laptop, and it turned out to be a pretty cool sample app at the end. Like you can see that like it works offline as well as online.
I'll have a look later. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks good. I'll link that to the show notes as well.
Yeah.
That means I can build offline now. Let's assume my app works offline. Can I easily take blocks and deploy that to AWS as well, or to any other infrastructure provider, or what's the approach?
Like blocks are, of course, it's everything that has been created as a building block is for AWS. That being said, the idea behind it is not tied to AWS. That's why I have the Google Maps example as well. So in case you want to build a platform and build a script to deploy it to any provider, technically you should be able to do it, because at the end these are just scripts that is allowing you to build to a certain platform, on a certain platform. Yeah.
So that means AWS Blocks by default allows you to generate CDK code out of what you have and then deploy it to CloudFormation, or how does it work under the hood?
Blocks is, if I'm not mistaken, this might be wrong, so don't quote me on this one, but like if I'm not mistaken, Blocks is creating, like using CDK behind the scenes, so you are not seeing the CDK code, but the deployment is happening through CDK out, and it creates a CloudFormation at the end. Yeah.
Show me.
Let me open up my Visual Studio Code again. Choose a window. So this is my deployed application, right? And when I do let me go back. If I go back to my deploy, you can see that like it actually directs itself to the CDK.ts. And if I go to the CDK.ts, you can see that it actually, besides the hosting, this is just a CDK app that is running CDK deploy behind the scenes, and that's all.
Okay.
So it's not like it does the build, then it just deploys directly with CDK deploy. Yeah. And you can see that it creates the CDK out that everyone loves to see all the time, and all these information.
That's what some of us dream of at night, right?
Yeah, like me too, all the time. But yeah, this allows you to deploy as well. And one nice thing, like there are many nice things about this, but like one nice thing is like also from the hosting perspective, you can also host it anywhere. You can define your pipelines anywhere. The elasticity or flexibility of this is very high. You are not bound to a certain service or certain feeling to make everything work. So whatever you have now or might come later, you will have access to it, or you can build your access directly yourself as well.
I get that, but somewhere there needs to be the translation from the local implementation to the cloud deployed version, and that's what I was trying to find out. Like if I have a NoSQL database and that translates to DynamoDB, right?
Yeah.
Is that something that is built into Blocks, and Blocks will do that automatically for you?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
You don't like the developer is not exposed to that information. It is at the end of the day. So from the perspective of the blocks, the focus is on 4 things, right? And I will explain that briefly so you can see how it works. So first of all, we have the default. It allows you to work with your like local server, whatever you want to build, you can build it. The second part is your AWS runtime. It's a Lambda runtime that allows you to do some SDK calls in case you have environment variables, it loads them, whatever it is. The third part is you have the CDK part. The CDK part is doing the CDK synthesis, emits the CloudFormation resources, wires the configuration, and builds the block for you. But to user, they just see a simple building block. So they will see a new agent, for example, or like let's say a new distributed table. But behind the scenes, these like building blocks are doing the like synth building and everything that you might need, both locally and for your cloud as well. So that is why this information is handled by you by the blocks team. But also when you create custom blocks, you don't need to care about it as well. That's why it's quite important.
Okay, that's cool. Good. Do you want to show deployment, or is that just a CDK deployment that's boring because of that?
I showed the deployed version of what we have seen. I would stick to that. The rest is just CDK deploy. You will see even like the logs and everything is the same as well. We can do a simple one. Nothing has changed, so it will be super fast.
And let's skip that. Maybe one thing that I could think of is do we have a demo for contributing your own block? Like on how to do that? Like how can I now build my own block? Like as an example, right? I want to now give Salih the possibility to build a Flutter hosted SaaS the same way that I've been doing that in my free time. And that is a specific construct that I have. Let's call it a template. That's the way that I call it today, right? I think the way that I understood your description, I can put all of that in a block and just provide that to you, correct?
I mean, you're thinking too broad. You can even think simple. Like, for example, I will give you an example that is very painful for AWS people, notifications. For notifications, you are bound to use services from Apple and Google because Android is Google product and iOS is an Apple product. To support these platforms out of their own platform directly, you can create your own building block. And you can contribute back as well. We are planning to work on a mechanism to make the community contributions easier. It is not in place now because Blocks is still evolving in the way that, like, for example, every time that we see people using it and like hear about their experiences, we had a lot of workshops, talks. We have also upcoming hackathons and so on to collect this feedback. For example, this Friday on 25th, we will have a hackathon in London. We will have workshops in the next upcoming some summits and like many other alternatives.
Okay.
So yeah, cool. I would say there will be mechanisms for you to easily contribute as well. Yeah.
Cool. That sounds really good. Okay. Sounds like something I'll need to look at and try it out myself. I think there is way more to come on actually seeing that. I find it interesting to see that AWS is trying to move away a bit from just building for AWS. I'm eager to see how the investment into that type of things is going to continue.
One thing that I can say is, like, in case you want to build a custom block, try to tell, for example, Kiro, like, or like whatever you're using, Cloud Code, doesn't matter. Tell it to like create a basic blocks app and say, I need this block, and AWS Blocks maybe doesn't have it. Build me one. And the agents should be able to direct you into building one as well.
Okay. Cool. I will try that out.
Yeah.
Salih, what else do we have that we want to show from an AWS Blocks perspective? Do you have an idea on where this is going next, or is this just too vague at the moment to give any forward-looking statements?
No, I mean, right now, like, there are some things that we didn't show. For example, one of the biggest things that we didn't show yet is the mobile support. Mobile support is already there. It is working on Flutter, React Native, Android, and iOS. It is working on all web platforms as well. Besides that, what we didn't see is like there are more than 20 building blocks. We didn't show all of them, of course. There is the auth or IDC, there's the basic one, there's the Cognito one, the real-time databases, and so on. Like, we have everything as well. SQL database, it's a fresh thing to have because I know people wanted to have it as well. But like NoSQL database is working fine too. And one big thing that people in the team constantly working on is how we can make it a better agent-friendly product as well. Especially, for example, you build something on, let's say, Lovable. You build your website. So next logical step is, how can I turn my custom data or mock data into real data? And that is where this can help you out. And for that one, there are already like some adjustments into the, like while you use agent toolkit and everything, so you can use it as well. And that will be quite interesting to see too. So overall, like it is moving forward, but it is still in developer preview, right? So this comes with like, I ask people and encourage people to try out, build something. If they like it, share. If they don't like it, also let us know. Just create an issue, say like, hey, why it's not this way, or why the decision is this way. Because you will see in the issues or in the PR, there's definitely someone answering, giving feedback, and you can see the contributions are not stopping, it is coming up. And team is quite open on what they are working on and so on, so you can tell them what you want as well. So maybe we are missing something and they can help out. Yeah.
Amazing. Good. And for those that at the end of this session still don't know who Salih is a developer advocate working for AWS from Berlin, and he's a good friend. So I will add some links on how to find him as well. Anything else that you want to add to your own intro, Salih?
No, nothing at all. I think you did great. And if I, like, honestly, whenever we talk, we directly talk probably for hours sometimes. So that's why, like,
that's part of the problem. If you want to do recordings, right? You always get too long.
Exactly. So, but yeah, if they have any questions, they can find me on LinkedIn, whatever it is. You can share the links. I am always helpful, I would say.
I will do that. And also they will be able to see you on some events around EMEA in the future. Hopefully also at the Community Day in Germany, in Berlin on the 15th of September.
Yes.
And with that, I would say thank you very, very much for the time spent today on the demo and on the presentation and introduction to what AWS Blocks is. If you did not like the session, please let me know. So next time we can do something better for you. If you have a specific use case with AWS Blocks that you have been building that you want to share, reach out to me and or to Salih as well. And then we're going to see how we can incorporate into any of the content that we do as well in the future.
Perfect.
With that, thank you very much, Salih. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.